Hey everyone, welcome back to ReddVoice. Today we're diving into a story that's full of betrayal, shattered trust, and the kind of heartbreak that's hard to recover from. You're going to want to stick around for this one, because there are even a few updates from the OP that make the situation even more intense. My wife's affair with her trainer destroyed our marriage forever. I'm 35 and I've been married to my wife Laura, who's 32, for 8 years. We have 2 young kids, a 5-year-old and a 3-year-old. Up until a few months ago, I thought our marriage was solid. Sure, we had ups and downs like everyone else, but I never thought we were at risk. About a year ago, Laura decided to get serious about her fitness. She wanted to lose weight, get healthier. I supported her completely. She found a personal trainer, Mark, who's 38, and from what I could tell, it was going well. She seemed happier and more confident, and I was proud of her dedication. At first, everything was fine. She'd go to the gym a few times a week, which seemed normal, but after a few months, it felt like her gym sessions were taking over her life. She started going every day, sometimes twice a day, and she'd either leave super early in the morning or stay out late at night, claiming she had to squeeze in extra workouts. When I asked her about it, she said I wouldn't understand how important this was to her. I wanted to trust her, so I didn't push it. But then, things started getting worse. Laura was constantly on her phone, texting late at night and being secretive. She started becoming distant from me and the kids. Anytime I asked her about what was going on, she'd say she was just chatting with her gym friends or her fitness group. But something in my gut told me something wasn't right. One night after Laura went to bed, I checked her phone. I know it's not something I should have done, but I just couldn't shake the feeling that something was going on. And I was right. I found dozens of messages between Laura and Mark, the trainer, and they weren't just about working out. They were explicit, filled with plans to meet up outside of the gym, and they made it clear that this wasn't just a casual affair. They had been seeing each other for months behind my back. I felt like my whole world came crashing down. Here I was, supporting her every step of the way, trusting her, and she was sneaking around with her trainer. I confronted her the next morning, and at first, she denied it. She said I was overreacting, that it wasn't what it looked like. But when I showed her the messages, she broke down and admitted everything. She told me it started out as harmless flirting, but things escalated. She tried telling me it didn't mean anything, but how could something like that not mean anything? I kicked her out that day. She went to stay with her sister, and we've been separated ever since. She's been calling, begging me to forgive her, saying we should go to therapy for the kids' sake, but I don't know if I can ever look at her the same way again. I'm talking to a divorce lawyer now. I don't see how we come back from this. What hurts the most is the impact this is going to have on our kids. They're too young to understand what's happening, and I have no idea how to explain it to them. It feels like my whole life is just falling apart. So here's where we're at. OP is dealing with the kind of betrayal that cuts deep. His wife not only cheated, but she did it with someone she was supposed to trust professionally, her trainer. That's a whole new layer of hurt. Now, the big thing here is the impact on their kids. OP is in an impossible position. You want to make it work for the sake of your kids, but how can you when the trust is just completely broken? In situations like these, you've got to rethink about your mental health and your kids' long-term well-being. Staying in a toxic environment isn't the answer, no matter how hard it might seem to walk away. Update 1. Well, it's been a few months since I posted, and things have only gotten worse. Laura's been trying to convince me to go to therapy, and finally I agreed, mostly for the kids. We've gone to a few sessions, but every time I look at her, all I can think about is her and Mark. I try to be open-minded, but I just can't move past it. Here's the kicker though. A few weeks ago, I found out that she's still been in contact with Mark. I was furious. We had agreed that she would cut off all communication with him, but apparently, she's been still texting him behind my back, just as friends, she claims. I called her right then and there. I told her we were done. No more therapy, no more second chances. I've officially filed for divorce. I'm still trying to figure out the best way to explain this to the kids, but for now, I'm focused on being there for them and making sure they have some stability. It hurts, but I know it's the right decision. I deserve better, and my kids deserve better. I just wish it didn't have to be this way. Wow. I mean, just when you think things might settle down, Opie finds out she's still texting the trainer? After everything they've been through, after she promised to cut it off? That's not just betrayal, that's a complete lack of respect. In situations like this, there's really no going back. Once the trust is broken, it's almost impossible to rebuild it, especially when the person continues that behavior that caused the breakdown in the first place. Opie made the tough call to move forward with divorce, and honestly, it's the right choice. Sometimes you have to cut ties for your own sanity and to protect your kids from the fallout of a toxic relationship. It's a hard road, but he's choosing to walk it, and that takes strength. Update 2. It's been 6 months since the divorce was finalized, and I'm starting to feel like myself again. It hasn't been easy, but I've been focusing on my kids and making sure they're doing okay through all of this. Laura and I have joint custody, so the kids still see her regularly. I try not to hold any bitterness around them, but it's hard sometimes. Every time I see her, I feel the weight of everything that's happened. As for Mark, I've heard through the grapevine that they're no longer seeing each other. I guess it wasn't meant to be after all. Not that it matters now. I've moved on. I'm focusing on my life and making sure my kids grow up in a stable, loving environment. I wish things could have been different, but I know that now this was the right path for me. I deserve someone who values me and respects our relationship. For anyone out there going through something similar, just know that it gets better. It's hard, but you'll come out stronger on the other side. OP has come a long way since that initial shock, and you can tell the healing process has begun. It's tough to rebuild your life after that kind of betrayal, but focusing on his kids and finding peace in his decision shows real strength. To anyone out there dealing with similar situations, just remember, you deserve someone who respects you and your relationship. Don't settle for less. It's a painful road, but in the end, prioritizing your own mental health and the well-being of your children is always the right move. Next up, we've got a story that takes betrayal to a whole new level. Imagine finding out your husband not only cheated, but that his affair led to something that can't be undone. His coworker is pregnant. My husband cheated with his coworker, and now she's pregnant. I never thought I'd be writing something like this, but I honestly don't know where else to turn. I'm 34 and I've been married to my husband, Jake, 36, for 10 years. We've had our ups and downs, but overall I thought we had a strong marriage. We've got 2 kids together, a 7-year-old and a 4-year-old, and for the most part I thought our life was pretty normal. Jake has been working at the same company for the past 5 years, and recently he's been spending more time at the office. He told me he was working on a big project with his coworker, Sarah, 30 years old. I didn't think much of it at first. Work gets busy sometimes, right? But then I started noticing that he was becoming more distant, coming home late, and making excuses about work events and business trips. About a month ago, I found out the truth. Jake sat me down and confessed that he's been having an affair with Sarah for the past 6 months. I was completely blindsided. He said it started as flirting at work, but things escalated quickly. He was apologetic, saying it was a mistake and that he wanted to make things right. I was shattered, but I thought maybe we could work through it. But then, last week, I found out that Sarah's pregnant. Jake admitted it right away. He's the father. He told me he has no idea she was pregnant until she told him recently, and now she's planning to keep the baby. My whole world came crashing down. I don't know what to do. I love Jake and I want to believe that we can get through this, but how am I supposed to move forward knowing that he's going to have a child with someone else? He says he wants to stay with me and our kids, but now there's this constant reminder of his betrayal. I feel sick to my stomach every time I think about it. And what about our kids? How am I supposed to explain this to them? They're too young to understand the full scope of it, but eventually they'll have to know about their half-sibling. I'm so hurt, confused, and angry. I feel like my entire life has been ripped apart. I don't know how to put it back together. Do I try to stay and make this work for the sake of my family, or do I walk away? I never thought I'd be facing something like this. This is a whole new level of betrayal, and Opie's right in the thick of it. Cheating is devastating enough, but when there's a pregnancy involved, it changes everything. The idea of staying together becomes so much more complicated. How do you move on when there's a permanent reminder of the affair? At this point, Opie is stuck between 2 impossible choices: stay for the sake of her kids and try to rebuild her family, or walk away and face the challenges of raising her kids with the knowledge that their father has another child with someone else? Honestly, there's no easy answer here. It's about weighing what's best for her own emotional health and the well-being of her children. Sometimes walking away is the right move, even though it's incredibly painful. Update 1. It's been about 2 months since I first posted, and things have been rough to say the least. Jake and I tried going to marriage counseling, but every session just ended with me in tears and him trying to explain himself. I couldn't get past the fact that he betrayed me in the worst possible way, and now there's a baby involved that we'll never be able to escape from. Sarah has kept her distance from me, but she's made it clear to Jake that she expects him to be involved in the child's life. She's due in a few months, and Jake has been preparing for that. I can't help but feel like I'm constantly competing with her and this unborn child. Every time Jake talks about what they're planning, I just feel more and more detached from him. I thought about staying for the sake of our kids, but the truth is, I can't. Every day is a reminder of what he did, and I don't want to live like this anymore. I've made the decision to leave. I've already spoken to a divorce lawyer, and I'm starting the process. It's not what I wanted for our family, but I deserve better than this. The hardest part is explaining to my kids why mommy and daddy won't be living together anymore. I've kept things vague, but they're starting to ask questions. I just hope one day they'll understand that I did this for all of us. OP's decision to leave is incredibly brave. It's one thing to stay for the sake of your family, but sometimes walking away is the only way to preserve your own well-being. In this situation, staying would mean constantly facing the betrayal, the affair, and the child that came from it. And no one deserves to live with this kind of pain every single day. Divorce is hard, especially with the kids involved, but protecting your own mental health is crucial. OP is taking a difficult but necessary step towards healing, and that takes real strength. To anyone listening, if you've been in a situation like this, or if you have any words of support for our OP, drop them in the comments. It's never easy, but hearing from others who have been there can make a world of a difference. Thanks for tuning in today, and we'll see you next time on ReddVoice.